And to fucking hell. 3, 2, 1, and welcome back to the channel, guys, for the third time today and final on this yet another speedrun of videos. I bring you chapter 819 of One Piece, of its name Momonosuke, Heir of the Kouzuki clan. The cover now this week we have volume 12 of the From the Decks of the World, 500 million berry arc man, the future country Baltimore, which is the place that Frankie spent his 2 years time skip in. It's very interesting to see an island from the time skip making its appearance on the cover pages. Will we see the island where Usopp was, or has Heracles' son gone back there? Will we see Chopper's Island and the tribe he was with? Who else? The Sky Island where Nami was. Mihawk's Island I don't believe we will see, unless it's just to see a pile of dead baboons. Baltico we've seen already. So, yeah, there's not really. Brook went around the whole world. So yeah, I guess it's just Heracles' son or the island if he's gone back there, and Chopper's Island, and the Sky Island Nami was in, and Kamabaka Kingdom. We cannot forget Kamabaka Kingdom now, can we? But anyway, let us begin with the chapter. And following last week's chapter, another amazing chapter, though not as pumped as the last one, but still a very good one. Following the excitement of the news that ended the last chapter, they are all still dazed by the fact that Momonosuke's father, Oden, was part of the Pirate King's crew. And Robin is like, he's one of those that learned the true story of the world, just like Rayleigh. And we have a flashback back from Shabodi, where Rayleigh actually said, yes, we learned all of this history of this world. So on top of being a member of the clan that created the poneglyphs, he learned the whole story of the world together with Roger, Rayleigh, Buggy, Shanks, Crocus, all the crew, and that makes him more and more awesome. If you haven't seen, I have posted a theory on the channel about Oden Kozuki my actually being alive, but unfortunately after this chapter I am beginning to doubt my own theory. But I'll get to that in a minute. Zoro comes to the realization that was what they were trying to get out of Momonosuke, out of Kinemon, out of Kanjuro, and out of Raizo is the secret of the world. Now, before I continue, an interesting fact, Zoro is dressed almost in the same manner he was the first time we've met him. If you remember, he was wearing a similar white shirt, his thingy around the waist, I don't know the name of that, and black common pants. So it's pretty cool to see that. At least for me it is. It's kind of a remembrance of past times. But even though he is correct in what he says, the truth is not as that. Kinemon, Momonosuke, Kanjuro, and Raizo don't actually know anything from the story of the world, because Oden didn't want them to burden them with that secret. But even if they did know, they would never speak of it, and that's a samurai Drew's way. And now, the first exciting part of this chapter, because even though they were supposed to be the shield of Lord Oden, they failed and were the ones being protected in the end. But they will have only one thing left to do, which is to honor their master's last words. Those words were, "Open the borders of the Wano country." Come again? "Open the borders of Wano country" were Oden's last words to them. And that's pretty cool, because ever since the beginning of One Piece, when we heard about Wano Kuni, I don't remember when we heard of it. Was it Thriller Bark? When we heard about Ryuma? It's not that long ago, but when we heard that Wano was a country closed to the world, and now these five guys want to actually open the borders of said country. And to do that, they need to kill the shogun of Wano country and open the borders of the country. So who they're gonna put in charge? That's the thing. It's all fine and dandy. Yeah, let's go kill the shogun. No problem whatsoever. But the problem is what happens after. It's a common thing in revolutions. This is sort of a revolution, although it is from the good guy's side. But it's a common thing in revolutions to always charge in ahead without a plan. And by plan, I mean who's gonna take care of the mess when it's all over? Momonosuke? No. It's all fine and good. Luffy considers him an adult already, but hold on to your horses. He's just a kid, a perverted kid, I add, but he's not in conditions to run a country yet, even if it is an open country to the world. And by open to the world, I mean, will it ally himself with the world government? I don't guess. But will the world government leave them be and all open to the world and stuff without trying to get their meddly claws in there? I guess that's something to be known later in the story. And as Kinemon says, that's our true desire. The country is currently being oppressed by the shogun and Kaidou. So it couldn't be simpler. On one hand, we have the shogun and Kaidou. On the other hand, we have Sanji trapped with Big Mom. What's next? What's next? I mean, if we put Yonkos on one of each corner, we have Kaidou on the left, Big Mom on the right, Blackbeard on the back or in the front, whatever, and Shanks, whatever. He's the only one that doesn't harbor any ill feelings towards Luffy. So yeah, they have the biggest shots of the world with their eyes on them. And yes, even though, as Kinemon says, there are those in Wano who actually harbor sentiments of rebellion, they are nothing. Nothing, absolutely nothing when compared to the armies of either the Shogun and of Kaido. But they must win whatsoever, and that's why they left Wano to look for comrades in arms to fight with us. And now this is an interesting sentence. We first set our sights on Zou. First. So does that mean that there are other locations with allies to the Kouzuki family? Now that would be pretty interesting. Imagine that. We already have samurais and minks together with the straw hats by the end of this chapter. Imagine if they can gather more people. By the end of this overall saga, Luffy, the Straw Hat Grand Fleet can only grow more. At the end of this chapter, I already see two more armies. We have 7 so far, but I can already see 2 more. The 8th army, either the Minks or the Samurais, and the 9th. So, the Samurais, I think it might be commanded by either the 3 of them, Raizo, Kinemon, and Kanjuro, or another samurai from Wano, because Raizo, Kinemo, and Kanjuro need to stay there and help Momonosuke. And the Minx army might be ruled by both Inuarashi and Nekomamushi. So just a just a parenthesis on the review just to express this idea of mine. And Inuarashi says, indeed, we, since times immemorial, have vowed to help the Kouzuki in whichever way we want. And ever since Raizo stepped foot on his island, we were already prepared to give our lives for them. But when it actually came to the fighting, if you remember, they lost. But, as Frankie said, they didn't lose because they were weak. They lost because Jack was a jackass. Sorry the pun. Because Jack was a cheater, he brought in a poison weapon. But as Inuarashi says, and another very interesting fact, yes, we may be able to console ourselves on losing to that cowardly tactic. But next time, my friends, next time we'll show them our trump card. And my friends, if the Minks are already powerful enough to fight pair on pair with Jack and his army, what the hell of a trump card do they have that will show them the true strength of the Minks? My. Is it Zunisha? Are they able to command Zunisha to go where they want? Is another part of my theory on the Zou arc gonna be become true? This was a very old theory I had. It's in Portuguese, so you guys won't understand a thing of it. But basically, on that, now I will explain it on the end because it has another point that I want to talk about. So moving ahead, Kinemon asks Luffy and Law to form an alliance with them, so that they can both take Kaido and the Shogun of Wano country. They need their help. But even though the Straw Hats are very excited for this alliance, Luffy just goes and says, no, I don't want to, nope. And Usopp starts beating him. Nami starts beating him, but then Luffy shows what Luffy does best. He turns to Momo and said, are you just some figurehead? Are you just a name with no meaning to it? You say you are a big shot. You say you are the leader of all these great warriors. So, what? And yet, all you can do is cry. And Usopp and Nami punch him even harder. But Brook explains that, Luffy, heirs, until they become adults, they don't do much. He's just a kid. Nami tries to pull him in. But Momonosuke comes to himself. He remembers everything he went through thanks to Kaido. His father and his mother were killed by Kaido. And that's when I said that my theory might have been proven wrong already. Because I theorized that maybe they didn't see him die, but apparently they did. As Kaido turned to Momonosuke and said, your father is a foolish lord. If he was there to hear that, he was there to see his father die. So unfortunately, unless he survived later, which I doubt, my theory has been proven wrong. But that's not the point here. The point is that Momonosuke actually manned up and he screamed out of the top of his lungs, I wanna beat Kaido. But even though he's not an adult, Kaido killed his parents. And even though he's not strong, he's not big, he's still a kid. He wants vengeance for his father and mother. He wants to protect his retainers. But he can't do it alone. So he wants Luffy to help. And as he's prostrating himself to beg for Luffy's help, Luffy's like, just Shut up. That's more like it. Now, I'll do it. And so it begins. So it is forged yet another alliance on the world of One Piece, and what a bizarre alliance it is. The Ninja Mink Straw Hat, the Ninja Pirate Mink Alliance. That's the name of it. In order to beat the living crap out of Kaidou, we hereby form the Ninja Pirate Mink Alliance. And my god, we have another alliance. Now, again, I'll talk in the end because there's no point in talking about it right now. And a new alliance is formed. Just and Luffy now says, just a heads up, guys, you don't have to bow your heads to us ever again, or kneel. Being in an alliance means being friends, and Lloyd's like, no, it doesn't. But Luffy once again doesn't care. But now Luffy says he has one condition. He's missing Sanji. So he needs to go and bring Sanji in. Because Sanji's super strong. He's pretty much worth 1,000 people. And that's and this is a funny part because in the next page, Zoro is actually if he actually pauses in the sentence just so we're clear. I'm worth 2,000 people, and Nami's like, yes, Zoro, we know, with like a little tear dropping. It's Zoro and Sanji. It's that mix that will never work out. And we go back to the Ming, so you haven't seen them in a while. And now they are all together celebrating the fact that Ino Arashi and Nekamamushi actually banded up together again. And Pedro says something very interesting. That one day, after they returned from a very long journey, barely clinging to their lives. So they went through some pretty rough stuff in their journey, to the point that they were barely surviving when they returned. But still, they were fighting one another. What the hell happened between them before they reached Zoe again after their journey? Even Carrot wasn't even born, and Vanda and Pedro were young when that happened. So it might have been a long while ago. So probably around 20 years ago. So I don't know. I guess it's one of those things we'll have to wait and see. But enough of memories. Now is the time to celebrate or not. Because at the base of Zunisha, an armada is standing close. And look at Jack's ship, all tattered from his fight against the Marines. And they have returned. And look what he did to Sheep Sheed. He tortured him just because he returned, saying that Jack was not there. And he tortured the guy. That shows how bad and how evil Jack and Kaido are. And the lady that ran away, actually, she's worried. We can't tell him that we were kicked out by 4 guys. But that's not the biggest problem here. Because even though one of his crewmates suggests that they should rush him, Jack has other plans for Zoe in its entirety. He says there's no need to rush. He'll kill Zunisha. And I was like, seriously? You're gonna kill that? Okay, now back to the point where I said when I talked about my theory on the Zoark. A few months back, when the Zoark was about to begin, I made a theory on what I thought would be the main thread of the saga. And near the end, I actually always thought that Zunisha would be destroyed. But I never thought of Zunisha as a living being. I actually thought and still think of Zunisha as a weapon. Not as a weapon, but as a machine. But one thing that actually broke that theory was when we saw her baiting herself, when we discovered that swarm of water was actually Zunisha baiting herself. But I don't know, maybe a machine can still do that. I'm not sure about that. But near the end of the arc, I always thought that, and now this is the part that was already broken indeed, I always thought that Kaido would come and actually destroy Zunisha. Imagine the scene. Imagine Kaido, big as he is, actually destroying one of Zunisha's legs. And we see Zunisha just fall to the water. Imagine that. It would be a pretty badass scene. But the part that might still happen is actually the destruction of Zunisha, but by the hands of Jack and not by the hands of Kaido. What do I think will happen? I don't know. Because Luffy said that he will go with Peckham's to Big Mom's Island. The thing is, we haven't seen him leave yet. So, will Luffy face Jack before he leaves? Or will it be like one of those things that, like, Luffy's ready to leave with Peckham's and everything, they are saying goodbye, and then Jack appears. And then Zoro is like, you go and fetch that perverted cook, I'll handle this guy. It is the most probable option, I say, but the thing is, there's no guarantees that gas weapon was the only one they used. The thing is, now the Minks and the Straw Hats are more aware of that possibility, and should they try to use said weapon, they can actually counter it more effectively. So, will we see a full-out confrontation between Jack's Armada and the Minks, the Samurais, and the remaining Straw Hats? I say that that's the most probable course of action right now. What happens next? I am not sure because we just left, not just, but the last saga, Dressrosa, the Straw Hats were divided. And I'll be damned if I have to see another saga where they are divided. This time being Luffy on one side and everyone else on the other. It might not be as long as Dressrosa was, but still, it will be a good few months before we see Big Mom's thing resolved and then we jump to Wano. Because that's the thing. That's the thing that I think it's being rushed out. Because we have an imminent confrontation with two Yonkos. When it was just Kaido, it was okay. We actually forgot. Some of us forgot that Big Mom was in the horizon. I never expected Big Mom to be involved so fast. Even though I think that Big Mom is the weakest out of the four, I always thought that Kaido would be the first one to fall. But now, with this imminent confrontation, how will it play out? How will Luffy be able to hold his ground against not only Big Mom's family, but against the underworld that will be present at the wedding, against Germa 66? And on the other hand, well, how will the rest of the Straw Hats, the Minks, and the Samurais be able to hold against Jack? I mean, I'm not saying that they can't. I'm saying that they will have a challenge doing so. And let us think for a second. If they defeat Jack, what will happen? Will they say like, well, onwards to Wano, it's the only thing we have left to do. But what about Luffy? You see, that's the thing that's bugging me in the current situation. There's so much things to consider, so many factors and missing things and it's actually pretty difficult to predict, or trying even to predict how this will play out. I guess we'll just have to see. Chapter 820 is released next week, and I am most excited to see it happen, as I hope you are as well. My friends, this has been the One Piece video of this week, the third video of today, and once again, I am sorry for my delay. I hope you have enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy the commentary and the quality of the video. Comment on all of these things on the comment section down below. As I always say, the comment section is yours to use and abuse. Your opinion matters the whole world to me, and I hope many more of you guys come join us on this journey and help to make it a very, very good journey, as I hope it comes to be. So, anyway, guys, I hope you have enjoyed it, and I see you next week.